So the average American household has about $15,799 in personal credit card debt. That doesn't even include student loans, mortgages and whatnot. So Lisa Cooper Gavin is here to explain how you can overcome credit problems and get back on track despite the economy and despite all the trouble with the middle class. Lisa is the co-founder and president of the CBI Network. Welcome to Perspective.
Thank you.
So what are your thoughts on the middle class and this whole erosion of what was once a really strong demographic in this country?
It is absolutely eroding, and
that's really scary. We're sitting here and just having a conversation about it like it's no big deal. But Lisa,
we're making it sound casual,
I know,
but it's not.
Right? This is big.
It is, and part of the challenges are that as individuals, we have to empower ourselves, and I do believe one of your previous guests was really talking about that we have to be more active in changing. It's kind of a changing of the guard in a sense.
Yeah, and how do we lead the way in that? I mean, what do you think our one of our number one priorities should be?
Well, we talk about what's going on in the credit industry quite a bit, but we don't talk about people's individual positions when it comes to credit, because there's a lot that we can do.
So how does credit play into all this?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, when you have credit, you have flexibility. When you have credit, you have a name. And having that name allows you to do things that a lot of times you can't do otherwise. I've seen so many people trapped in not being able to refinance their homes and reduce interest rates because they lack the credit scores.
But the reality, Lisa, is, and you know this far better than I do, is that you have people today who at one point had A-plus credit.
Absolutely.
But because they were laid off, because they couldn't meet their payments, because they missed their mortgage, because their car may have gotten repossessed, that credit is now severely damaged.
Absolutely.
So they know the value of it. The question is, how do they, under the circumstances, begin to rebuild that so they can be in a better position to do all the things that you said?
That's the hard part, because we're not even taught about credit in schools. We're not given real world skills that we need. And so the biggest challenge for people is that they have to educate themselves. They have to then become the police of their credit reports, start to know what their credit scores are, and start to research how to make those steps to improve your personal condition, to get back that flexibility. And let me say this, because I think people misunderstand. When I talk about credit, they instantly think debt. They go, oh my God, well, no, I don't want more credit. I didn't ask for you to get more debt.
Right.
I asked for you to get more credit. There's a difference. And that's one of the commandments in the book, is that credit does not equal debt. Credit is flexibility and ability. To do more with your position.
But I understand what they're thinking, because I was in the store the other day, and they have someone, this is a major department store, they have someone standing at the door asking you if you want to apply for the store credit card. And I told the man, I said, no thanks, because I'm with the cash-only revolution. He was like, the what? I was like, yeah, you haven't heard of it, cash only, honey. And so we had this conversation, and I don't want any more credit. So I think that when it comes to that, and tell me if I'm wrong, you have to make good judgments about choosing what you apply for.
You're absolutely right about that. But I'm going to tell you what you're wrong about.
What?
Is that people do need more credit. I'll give you an example. For the cash and carry people out there.
Cash revolution people?
Yes, cash revolution people. A lot of the cash revolution people forget that credit is just simply a marker that determines if you are able to manage credit. If you get into the cash revolution, to the extent that you don't do anything to constantly show that you're able to manage credit, you can lose your credit score. And there's over, let's say nearly 50 million people that have no credit score because they're cash and carry. Now, when that same person is in a position where they need credit, they can't, because they've been so busy being on the cash revolution.
So credit is power.
Credit is power, absolutely. It's a balance.
Yes, indeed. All right, so now what I want to do is talk a little bit more about the book, The 10 Credit Building Commandments.
Yes.
So I want to walk through some of those. We have to go to break in a second, so give us maybe the first two as we start out, and then we'll pick up on the other side with the rest.
The most important one, to be honest with you, which is the foundation, is that credit equals trust and not debt. We've been so conditioned to think of credit as what you're spending instead of it being a building process, which is why it's called the Credit Building Commandments. half of your score has nothing to do with whether you pay your bills on time or not. It's about understanding the other principles that build into credit scores, the almighty credit score that is judging all of us. And if we don't understand what those criteria are, we cannot improve credit scores.
Okay, let's talk about a few more of those in a second. Again, Lisa's book is The 10 Credit Building Commandments, and we'll talk more about the book and also give away a copy to one of you. So stay tuned. We'll have more in just a moment. So we've been talking about what's happening to the middle class. All of my guests today agree that it is disappearing. So how do we save the middle class, and how do we help you overcome credit problems? Still here with me is Lisa Cooper Gavin, again, the co-founder and president of the CBI Network. Before we get to some more commandments, let's jump into the whole credit score phenomenon, if we can.
Absolutely.
That's something that needs some explaining so that people really understand the value of that.
It does. I laugh all the time, in Microsoft was, people are saying, oh, it's a monopoly. Well, we kind of have a modern day monopoly called FICO, Fair Isaac Corporation. And a lot of times people don't realize how powerful it is because you're being judged by a 3-digit score. So now we're kind of a social security number and a 3-digit score, and most of us don't know our other personality. We don't know that score.
Because you may be one thing in person.
Absolutely.
But your score may say something totally different about you.
Your credit report and score is your first face. That's the first thing the banker sees when you walk in the door. It's not that you're a wonderful person. I mean, we know you're a wonderful person, but they need to see that score.
Okay. So you need to keep your credit score healthy by doing what? Because there's a big difference between like a 620 and a 720, or below.
Huge,
of course,
huge
below
difference.
6. How do you keep it healthy, or if it's low, how do you get it back up?
Well, I'm going to give you an interesting stat because we have over 45 million people with scores under 600. So this is an epidemic. So if we take the 45 million with scores under 600, which is poor, that's not even looking at mediocre, and then we take the other 50 million people, approximately, that have no credit scores, you're talking about 1/3 of the U.S. population that is disabled when it comes to credit. That, by any definition, is an epidemic, as far as I'm concerned. So where it ties into the middle class is that we have to empower ourselves to take advantage of this system. And how you do that is understanding how scoring works. And that's how you take advantage, because we can't change all the different dynamics that's going on in the economy, but we can work on our personal circumstances.
And I guess we can agree that the way you start doing that is to know your credit score.
Absolutely.
So many people, for years, I didn't really pay attention to it. Now I look at it at least once a month, and I'll watch it change and improve and get better. And that in itself is power. That is.
You're way ahead of the curve. Because I wish I can get most people to look at it, once a month. Even twice a year. Most people look at it maybe once a year, and that's just not enough.
Yes, you got to look at it more. Okay, we got a couple minutes here. Let's talk about some more of the commandments. The book again is, what's the name of the book, Lisa?
It's the 10 Credit Building Commandments.
Okay, we're going to give away a copy of the book to the first, can we do 2 books?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
More the merrier.
All right, 2 books to the first 2 people that hit me up on Facebook. Just find me by typing in Monique Caradine. Give us a couple more commandments.
Another commandment that's important to me is your credit record matters. You want more wins than losses. Just like you think of sports and a sports team, your favorite team has a win-loss record. You as an individual have a win-loss record, meaning that you need to look at how many accounts, relationships that you've managed perfectly, and those are your wins. The accounts that you have not managed perfectly are your losses. The beautiful thing about credit, it's one of those games that you can erase some losses through the proper dispute channels, and disputing with the bureaus the negative information that is on your credit report and is a right of individuals to
calling them, writing them.
They don't want to talk to you.
They don't want to
talk to you. But you
why?
Because of all the millions of people that have credit reports, they're not interested in talking to you.
Okay.
But the letters, You can do them online. So you have to be active in challenging negative information. Why let companies say anything about you and have nothing to say about it?
Messing up your reputation.
It's not acceptable.
Exactly. Okay, give us one more before we go.
Well, actually, commandment number 10, which is pretty cool,
okay,
is never expect anyone to invest more in you than you're willing to invest in yourself. I have people that won't even pay to get their credit scores once a year. Why should I have to pay? Because you're going to pay anyway when you walk into the banker and you don't know your credit scores.
How can people reach you, Lisa?
They can reach me at, creditunlocked.com is our website. That's the best way to reach me.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being on the program today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, our pleasure. And as one of our guests said earlier, all is not lost. We can save the middle class. Take this information, use it, everybody. You can check out my website for more, MoniqueCaradine.com. That's it for Perspective. I'll see you next week.